Hi, my name is Charles Green. In this video, I will be telling you a little bit about myself, what I would be getting out of this Nike apprenticeship, and how a year ago I flew to Portland, Oregon in the efforts to try to speak with you. I'm 23 years old. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I study fashion merchandising at LATTC, and I am self-taught in visual communications and clothing design. My ideal dream job is to work for a brand that has a generational impact on society. But that was only a mere thought of mine until I was approached by an old friend of mine who works for a PR agency in New York, and their main clients are Nike, Jordan, and Converse. They knew of my graphic design skill set and trusted me to create a Jordan shoe event flyer for a new release that they had. I felt incredibly lucky being given that opportunity, especially from a Nike-related company. It was always a dream of mine, but I always want to accomplish more. The PR agency was kind enough to invite me to the event, and my PR friend's roommate happened to work for Jordan, and she was managing the same event that I did the flyer for. At the shoe event, she had told me that she relocated to the Portland headquarters from New York, and I had told her that I was going to Portland soon, which I had no business being there, but I have to speak things into existence. As we parted ways, she invited me to the Nike headquarters whenever I was in town. We exchanged phone numbers, and I ended up going to school for the rest of the semester. So some time passed, but I knew that I could not pass up this opportunity. Not everyone gets a chance to be invited like that. I spent some time refining my portfolio and getting a feel of my aesthetic. I saw this as an opportunity of being a critical business decision in my career, just to speak to someone who is in the industry of apparel and get more insight on what there is to offer for Nike. I saw this as a career move, and I was wondering, how can I do this without using my own money? The most successful people make money by spending other investors' money, right? I didn't want to do any crowdfunding or begging or any handouts. I wanted to do what I do best, and that's making clothes. So I created a collection to pay for my own trip. I had a deadline. I already paid for my ticket. I was telling myself not to give up. My motivation was to create something that someone needs before they even need it. My goal was to have 25 hoodies sold in 1 month. And by the end of my last day being there in LA, I sold 35 hoodies. This was a defining moment in my life. I was looking at the numbers and also harnessing the emotional design aesthetic that comes with creating clothing. I kept in contact with the Jordan Connect to schedule a meeting in Portland when I touched down in PDX. The day I got there, she had texted me that she left for an emergency meeting in New York. She was apologetic, and she sent me places to go while I was there. This was the first time I was in a state by myself. Surprisingly, I did not feel held back from my goal. I won half the battle by traveling there. While I was there on my solo 5-day trip, I went to go see the city. Eventually, when I was going back to my Airbnb, I called an Uber. Throughout the ride, I was getting to know him and he was getting to know me. And I told him I was from Los Angeles, headed to Portland just to speak to someone from Nike. And at that moment he said, "Nike? I work for Nike. I just do this on my free time." And I was like, okay, well, what department do you work in? And he said, apparel development. And at that moment, I lost it. I drilled him with question after question, and eventually every answer that he said just lifted a weight off my shoulders. In that moment when he dropped me off, I just felt reassured that my stars were aligned again. Some days had passed, and he ended up messaging me saying that it takes 2 days to get clearance into the headquarters, and I was leaving the next day. After that trip, I learned that failure is a part of the winning experience. I was sent a mass email by my teacher, Miss Murphy, who works in the fashion merchandising program, and she said there was a Nike program, Apprenticeship. I had to reread the email a few times just because I thought someone was pranking me, or I thought, it was just, I was daydreaming. She ended up emailing me personally and said, "Charles, I think this is right for you." To the employees of Nike that are watching this, I'm here to tell you that me applying for this apprenticeship is more than anything to me. I'm willing to create a beautiful relationship with Nike and build something for the future. The idea of timeless design being carried through a generation has always been with me, and I'd like to share my designs with you in the future. Thank you.